Please welcome back our friend, Shawn Welcome.
All right, check. All right, okay. All right, you guys like quotes? Quotes? Okay, I'm on, good. I have a quote. This is by Alexander Pope, and he says concerning the conversion of water into wine, that the conscious water saw its master and blushed. I thought that was kind of cool. But this next poem that I'm going to do is called H2O, and I basically compare God and water. All right, so to help us remember this poem, if you have water in front of you, let's take a quick sip of water. This will help us remember the piece, H2O. All right, here we go. We can live without food longer than we can live without water. That refreshing spring/summertime splash, fire hydrant fiasco some wish they had. How cool is water? Recycles in patterns. Fun fact, this planet rarely gains or loses matter, which means the same water that we use today is the same water that existed when the earth was formed. And while babies are being formed in the mother's womb, they're surrounded by water. They call it amniotic fluid. I call it God's nature surrounding us from the beginning until that water breaks and we're born into sin, crying hysterically as though we understand what is happening until the day we are born again, symbolically baptized in water, and a new life begins. A cloudy concept to most, but he can be as clear as water, see clearly, no foggy, dry ice tricks. And yes, this is more so about the depth of God than it is the depth of the Pacific Ocean. But if the Bible's too difficult to understand, baby, consider water, agua. The only substance that appears naturally in three forms: solid, liquid, and a gas. It's essential to life, not only for humans, but for the grass. We can live without food longer than we can live without water. This relationship's rocking between water and mankind. He walked all over it, told it to hush, and turned it into wine. One God, different forms at different times. His eyes are the color of reconciliation. Who is this King of glory? The Lord, strong and mighty, like tsunamis, mighty in battle, like a snowflake's gentle touch of forgiveness. His elements are mysteriously attractive. He is H2O, three atoms, one substance. The second atom rose again, hallelujah. H2O, two parts holy, one part offspring of David. When the Roman soldiers pierced his ribs, why did water flow out of his side? With scorching sun and blazing rays, says to the woman, but those who drink the water I give will never be thirsty again. He that hunger and thirst after righteousness shall be filled. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be an empty glass. God, fill us with your love, fill us with your joy, and cause it to never stop. Overflow in my life so that all can taste and see that you are good to the very last drop. All right. All right. Give me a C. Give me a D. I have CDs. Whatever. Whatever. Okay. Contact information, what have you. All right. Just playing around. This next poem that I'm going to do is called Superwoman. Do we have any confident superwomen here in the audience? Yeah, awesome. All right, well, this is for you. Here we go. You were freed from a rib cage like white doves on wedding days. No magic tricks. The hand of God's quicker than the eye. Shazam. Like the prestige, you still never cease to amaze me. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? No, this isn't your Shakespearean love poem. This is a how do you manage to balance the globe and childbirth on your fingertips, absorb the tears of children with your spongy hugs, and fight bird cages for freedom all in the same breath, because I really want to know. Poem, there's a chosen few that can wear sparkly red shoes after the storm and still find their way back home. But if Dorothy was a Damien, Toto might have got traded for a Rottweiler. Made friends with the flying monkeys and set up shop in Munchkin land, never making it back to Kansas. Neither would he have cared. You see, the yellow brick road to Damien was merely a suggestion, while Dorothy followed the directions. Mama, I'm talking to you, grandma, auntie, niece, daughter, sister, godmothers who actually believe in God, and wife. Can I tell you that I am Baghdad and you're the bomb? I'm blown away. You shock and awe. You bombard my bunkers. Helen of Troy, you start wars. If I were you and somehow found myself being dogged by a man, I would shamelessly sing your song with a bar of soap for a microphone, like, it's gonna take more than occasional hugs as a token of love from you to me, ooh, baby. But I'm not you, nor do I desire to be. I'm just saying Webster should put a picture of your face next to the word passion, whether aggressive or passive. I admire your intensity, and although you do talk way too much, maybe that's to balance out the fact that we can't say enough to express how much you mean. It's a girl. It's a plane. Yes, it's Superwoman Amelia Earhart flying faster than a speeding bullet solo across the rushing current norm. We more powerful than a locomotive because of Harriet's railroads. Underground ain't no swamp mucky enough to hold back the tracks to freedom. Superwoman, this is a question. How do you manage to balance the globe and childbirth on your fingertips? Absorb the tears of children with your spongy hugs and fight bird cages for freedom all in the same breath, because I really want to know. We can't live without you. I mean, technically we can live without you. It's just that God doesn't think it's a good idea. All right. All right, this next piece that I'm going to conclude with, it's probably one of the most challenging pieces that have come out of me. The name of it is Civil War, and I participated in an event called Stand for Life. That's where we stand in front of the abortion clinics with red tape in our mouths with the word life on it. We silently pray for the unborn. And so it was the first time I had participated in that, and I was seeing, women go in and out, and I just got kind of broken for the issue. And so I started to write this piece about that, and about 3/4 way into writing the poem, a friend loaned me a documentary called Ma'afa 21, Black Genocide in 21st Century America. And in looking at the documentary, it was almost identical to what I was writing. And I was like, wow, it's a 2-hour documentary of what you'll hear in about 3.5 minutes here. So Civil War, here we go. "1861, musket rifles with mini ball bullets blast across the Mason-Dixon line from both sides. Bayonets in my neighbor's neck if they're close enough. Gun smoke and tensions in the air. This won't end for another 4 years. The American Civil War. A bloody conflict within the same nation. On the backs of blacks was built the wealthiest. Lincoln had no use for these slave trades. He had more honorable ways of being successful. The Confederate South couldn't stand it, and a house divided against itself can't anyway. Firearms changed everything. Slave ships were packed and hearts were hardened. Never asked to be here. How unfair that we're the problem. never asked to be here. How unfair that they're the problem, all in the name of freedom. Party like a rock star while little ones are dying. Silent screams from injected saline and dreams you will never hear because little lungs were punctured before they can fully function. Who will be a voice for the voiceless, the abolitionists? How many freight trains of injustice will roll by behind church buildings while service inside sings louder, hands in the air, pump up the volume, bass kick snare, drowning out the rumblings of oppression? No formal funerals, nor miniature caskets, only the likes of medical waste management. Tell me, how many pounds of flesh do you pick up for profit? And when will that weight begin to weigh down on your conscience? Jim Jones, no thanks. You can keep your Kool-Aid. This sugar-coated genocide is sponsored by media, abortion pills, birth control, control the growth, convince them to commit cultural suicide. Not televised in the hills. Killer number one among African Americans is done by a wolf in sheep's clothing. Music soft, white coats, put them on, take them off. How much does it cost to ignore the exotic white tiger in the bathroom? Or are we too hungover to pick up the phone? I know you don't want to go through with this, but are these counselors counseling or selling a service? Tell me, who's going to sue an abortionist for malpractice if the purpose is to keep it on the hush? If they don't care about your baby, they don't care about your body. This is called making it rain under the umbrella of women's health. $50 bills are filled with the faces of Ulysses S. Grant, who led the Union Army into victory. Cash wins again and still rules everything around me. Methods of man are like Hulk, busting through the seams with all green. If they could put a tax on crack, you will find it at your local Walgreens. Trust me. We take less than 2% of the cases, rape, incest, and life on the line to justify the 99 reckless who occupy all streets. Listen, men and women need higher standards and better judgment on my wish list. But hurt people hurt people. This all boils down to forgiveness. Where's the humility? Daddy's running away like slaves from the so-called shackles and chains of responsibility. Meanwhile, mommy wants to secede from this union and it only ends in bloodshed. History repeats itself. The new civil war where African Americans are still on the front lines. No jury, dying for the same reasons. They're not human fully. Slavery wouldn't have ended if it depended on quiet. Folks willing to take a bullet to the head in some riots. And I'm all for nonviolence because words can change trends. But worse than words from my enemies is the silence from my friends.